It was a brisk, blustery Sunday afternoon in November, the year 1956. Halfway up a ridge overlooking Buffalo Creek, this regal white-tailed buck ambled along. The rut was on. The deer caught the scent of a hot doe riding the downdraft from the ridgetop. It was the eve of opening day for deer west of Virginia's Blue Ridge Mountains. There was also a young man making his way to the top of the ridge. He wanted to clear the leaves from the base of the tree that would become his stand location on the following morning. The least disturbance he made then, he thought, the better. The pre-dawn darkness that followed found that same fellow making his way back up to the ridge. The crisp, frosted leaves crunched with each step. In less than an hour, that same regal buck would meet his destiny, a first-time hunter named Frank Dixon. As Frank made his way in that pre-dawn hour, he thought how he must be at his stand well before daybreak, so that the woods could settle down around him. He really wanted to get a deer. Western Virginia's deer season had only been reintroduced a few years prior. As a young boy growing up in Virginia's Shenandoah Valley, deer sightings were so rare that such an event would make the front page of the Rockbridge County News. Little did Frank know, this morning he would take his first buck. A buck that would turn out to be a 13-point, 230-pound beauty, the largest one taken in Rockbridge County that year. In the next few years to follow, Frank would make his way back to Buffalo Creek each November. When he called home on Wednesday night to assure his wife that he would be home for Thanksgiving, he would hear a young voice in the background anxiously inquiring, "Did Daddy get a deer?" Finally, in 1963, Frank's oldest son was 12. Frank decided his boy would learn more in the 3 days preceding Thanksgiving break on Buffalo Creek than in school. Frank had no one to teach him how to hunt and the ways of the woods, and he wanted his sons to experience what he had come to know. From that time on, each fall, come November, Frank and his 2 boys would make their way back to the mountains of Virginia. As time went by, the destination became Bratton's Run on the Allegheny side of the valley. Frank, along with his brother Bruce, had acquired a tract of land adjoining some 16,000 acres of state wildlife management area. While, like any other deer hunter, Frank would cherish the taking of a nice buck. He taught his boys, however, that this in itself was not the measure of a successful hunt. Just being outdoors, fellowshipping with Mother Nature, and learning what she had to teach was far more important. And to waste not a morsel of her bounty. Revere the animal that you would take by making it your sustenance. Frank's sons grew on to become avid hunters and outdoorsmen. In October of 1988, at age 67, Frank traveled with his oldest son to the Colorado Rockies. It was his first trip out west. He was in awe of the western landscape and how different the way of the hunt. His son had been making the trip out west for 10 years by now, and was thrilled that his dad had finally come along. Together, the 2 made a return trip the following year. Frank and his sons would see 6 more hunting seasons. In November 1993, the 3 of them shared their last hunt together. The small 6-point buck in this photograph is proudly displayed on a wall beside the regal buck that Frank had taken overlooking Buffalo Creek some 37 years before. It wasn't until the following November that Frank's oldest son made his first deer hunting trip to Saskatchewan. Frank would have been in awe there. This video is dedicated to the memory and legacy of Frank Dixon, my dad. Thanks for the legacy, Dad.